In the silent, foggy forest on the front lines, SIGNUM Battalion FPV drone operators once again proved their dominance on the battlefield. Dramatic footage released shows Russian occupation forces, renowned for their exceptional running skills in the face of aerial threats, desperately fleeing for cover in the trees to escape the deadly onslaught that stalked them from the skies. While surveillance and manhunt continued from the air, SIGNUM Battalion FPV drone operators monitored every movement, waiting for the right moment to launch their attack. However, their fate was sealed. None reached the finish line, as they were eliminated one by one. The footage begins with a gripping perspective from an FPV camera zooming low among the trunks of towering pine trees. A Russian soldier is seen sprinting across open terrain covered in grass and brush, seeking cover behind the trees. The SIGNUM drone pursued at a deadly pace, and the soldier turned sharply, his feet treading on flying dry leaves, his breath ragged in the cold air. Suddenly, a powerful explosion erupted, sending dust, smoke, and debris flying high into the air. The soldier's body was thrown violently, crashing to the ground in an unnatural position. This first attack demonstrated the SIGNUM operator's high precision. A fast-moving target in the complex jungle terrain was neutralized in seconds. This time, the drone continued its flight along a more open slope with tall grass and sparse trees. Another Russian soldier was seen running in a zigzag fashion, trying to use the terrain to avoid detection. The drone's camera shook violently as it chased, trees flashing rapidly across the screen, while the soldier briefly took cover behind a tree trunk, but the SIGNUM drone was too agile. A second explosion followed, even more intense, billowing flames and smoke, accompanied by a booming sound that echoed through the forest. The target's body is seen flying and falling into the undergrowth, dust billowing, leaving the forest scene now filled with thick smoke. The footage shows a transition to an area closer to a man-made structure, possibly a trench or temporary position. A more equipped Russian soldier, wearing full gear including a helmet and backpack, is seen running and trying to find cover behind a thick tree. He pauses briefly, perhaps attempting to fire back or find a defensive position, but the SIGNUM drone gives him no chance. The attack approaches at high speed, the camera revealing details of his camouflage uniform and panicked facial expressions moments before impact. The third blast hits directly, producing a bright orange fireball and thick black smoke that engulfs the area. The soldier is thrown hard to the ground, his body lying among the debris and leaves. In the final phase of the attack, the drone approaches the target near a dirt wall or low structure, with a soldier clearly visible at very close range before the spectacular final explosion. The intense dust and debris, accompanied by bright flames, timer overlays, and the SIGNUM logo further emphasized the Ukrainian forces' total control over the sector. This operation once again demonstrated the efficacy of FPV drones as hunters in jungle terrain. Russian soldiers trained for conventional combat are often overwhelmed by this fast, agile, and elusive threat. Their reaction speed is indeed remarkable, but unfortunately, there is no safe finish line on the modern battlefield. So far, the SIGNUM Battalion has been a constant threat to the occupying forces, each attack not only eliminating enemy personnel, but also damaging morale and disrupting their logistics on the front lines. The forest, once considered a sanctuary, has now become a deadly hunting ground. The operator again quips with the overlay, "Are we dreaming?" underscoring the impossibility of escaping modern FPV technology. This footage serves as clear evidence that Ukraine's fighting spirit and technological innovation continue to dictate the rhythm of battle. Russia's runners may continue to train, but in this field, their only medals are tragic endings. Currently, the crowded skies are the point. Ukrainian drone units are striking Russian supply trucks, depots, and rear area infrastructure deeper and more often than ever before. And the frontline regiments those trucks were meant to supply are arriving short on fuel, ammunition, and people. When they arrive at all, also captured in the montage, a series of Hornet strikes on Russian trucks. This spring, Ukrainian drone forces dramatically escalated their strikes on the Russian logistical zone, stretching a couple of hundred kilometers from the disputed gray zone. The number of these mid-range strikes more than doubled between February and March, to a new high of no fewer than 288 strikes, according to analysis group Tochny. That's 288 raids targeting Russian supply depots, the trucks, vans, and trains that haul supplies, the electrical grid powering the rear area logistical system, and the air defenses protecting all of the above. The pace of mid-range drone strikes is only increasing. Tochny observed 99 mid-range strikes in just the first 10 days of April. Blowing up more of the Russian supplies and reinforcements as they're en route to frontline regiments, Ukrainian drone units are weakening those regiments before they can even begin an assault across the gray zone. For the Russians, just reaching the front line, which is the prerequisite for an assault, has become very risky, French mapper and analyst Clément Molin noted. The intensifying attacks on Russian logistics may explain why Russia's traditional spring offensive is off to such an unimpressive start this year. According to the Institute for the Study of War in Washington, D.C., Russian forces lost 67 square kilometers of Ukrainian territory in April after losing 31 square kilometers in March. Their last monthly gain in February was just 119 square kilometers. An array of Ukrainian drone types carry out the raids in the logistical zone, including Firepoint FP1 and FP2 drones that pilots on the ground directly control via satellite or mesh radio network. However, the first-person view FP1s and FP2s are vulnerable to Russian jamming that can interrupt their control signals, which is why more Ukrainian units are deploying AI-assisted drones that rely less on direct human control. AI-assisted drones, including the Hornet, the drone pipes video back to its operators via satellite or mesh radio, but its onboard AI spots targets and steers the drone to a strike, all by itself. It's apparent that many Hornets are programmed to look for Russian trucks, and they're doing so as far away as the ruins of Mariupol, 100 kilometers from the southeastern front line. Enemy forces are using Ukrainian roads in the city and its outskirts to move personnel and military hardware, the 1st Azov Corps stated. The Corps continues to establish a sanitary zone for Russian logistics. The strike depth will increase, the 1st Azov Corps pledged, as more drones fill the sky over the logistical zone and occasionally even cross paths. The highly autonomous AI drones shrug off Russian jamming as they hunt Russian supply trucks, while Hornets reportedly range as far as 150 kilometers, so the Corps isn't bluffing. The strikes on Russian logistics are weakening frontline regiments before they can even begin an assault. More drones will fly, farther and farther. More Russian trucks will burn. More Russian regiments will suffer shortages of people.